Melanated family, I am happy to be back for another week. Got my sister Sonia Williams Lewis in here with me. Like I said, every Thursday we're gonna do this thing, man. We're gonna talk about news, the culture, what's affecting our community, dissect the conversation. So I'm happy to be back for another week. Hit the like button, subscribe, become a member of the family if you ain't done so yet. I don't know what's wrong with you. You know what I mean? Because I'm going places. You can get in or not.
Absolutely.
I'm just joking, but I'm serious. Now, also today, what we're going to talk about, of course, we have a 9-year-old girl that gets the cops called on her by a neighbor. We have a white teacher saying he is superior. Man, the country we live in, y'all, like the sister dropped off. She'll be back. But the country we live in, y'all, everything that we go through, we gotta know that, like, the reason for my platform, the reason for platforms like mine, the country that we live in shows us how people feel about us. The news stories I post, all of these are just examples of what we're going through today, not 50, 60 years ago today. And then we'll dive into the sister Shanquella Robertson, a black woman, 25-year-old, in Cabo with her friends, ends up dead. A lot to unpack there. So that's some black shit. So we got to talk about our people in friendship, in loyalty, and all these different things. That ain't got nothing to do with nobody white. You see, nope. I'm not looking for racism. You know, it finds me.
Absolutely.
So I got to talk about it. You know what I mean? So before we get started, first thing I want to do, November 19th, everybody listening to the sound of my voice, November 19th, it's a fashion show going down here in Sacramento. This fashion show is being sponsored by Keisha Janae and the Nail Chick Shop. These are two businesses, fashion designers, who are sponsoring this fashion show, which will be this Saturday, I think, this Saturday, the 19th. It'll be at 2251 Florin Road, which is the same location as the African Marketplace. So they've got a piece of that building, and they're doing this fashion show. Starts at 6:15. This is big. All of the events that we have going on in our city, be a part of something positive. So if you're a fashion designer, you are a clothing designer, you are thinking about becoming one of those things, get in the room. How you talking about designing clothes and you don't even go where they be designing clothes at? What you doing? Go in there, soak up the game, soak up the energy, talk to people, get some phone numbers. See, so events are based on whatever activity is going on, but that's not the real activity.
Yeah.
The real activity is getting the phone number, shaking a hand, kissing a baby, seeing what's going on, getting a connect to move forward, whatever you're doing. So I'm proud of these sisters for stepping out and doing something for our community, taking their love for fashion to the next level. So the fashion is black is the name of the fashion show. I mean, it couldn't be a better than that fashion show, right? You know what I mean? So they have a VIP area that has been booked already. So no more tickets for that. Me and Sonia, though, we got you. We got a few tickets available for you. DM me, DM Sonia. Yeah. We got 2 days left. We got some tickets for you. Go out, support. I think normally it's like 25 at the door, but we got some tickets for you so you can go inside of a fashion show and really be inspired. You never know who you're going to meet. You never know what you're going to see. So November 19th, fashion show in Sacramento. Doors open at 6, 2251 Florin Road Drive. Let's show out for these sisters. I know, because sometimes, Sonia, I'm talking about constructive black events, and I got to remind black people, if Lil Boosie was coming, you be there.
You be there. Absolutely.
There. So let's show out for these type of events the same way we do when we want to be entertained. Shit. So I'm proud of these sisters. November 19th, hit me and Sonia up if you want tickets. I'm going to be reaching out to people too, because I know people who are like fashion designers and wanting to get started and at the cusp of doing something great. Hey, take this ticket, go meet somebody. You feel me?
Yeah.
Now, also on Thanksgiving, my family will be having our 4th annual community Thanksgiving dinner, Thompson Rose Chapel, 3601 Fifth Avenue. Now, this is a little different. See, normally on Thanksgiving, people, organizations, churches, they give out turkeys, which is a great thing, which is that saved many of families. My family when I was younger too. So that's a great thing to give out turkeys for you to go put in your oven and cook. But what if I ain't got no oven? Come on now.
Come on.
What if I don't have an actual oven to put that turkey in?
Right.
That's where we come in. So from 12 to 3 on Thanksgiving, we'll be serving hot Thanksgiving dinner. My family is putting their foot in it. You feel me? So we ain't just going to buy. So no. They putting their foot in this thing. You might want to come get you a plate, even if your mama cook it. You know what I mean?
Right.
So 12 to 3 on Thanksgiving. If you know somebody who's homeless, a single mother who just couldn't get the turkey money, please send them to us. We always have more food than we bargain for.
Yeah.
Please come get a hot meal. I understand, Sonia, a lot of holidays like this at times can remind somebody of what they don't got. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
It'll remind you that mama not here no more. I don't got the family structure I used to have.
Right.
So we got you covered. Come sit down, eat, listen to music, vibe with us. That's on Thanksgiving from 12 to 3. And we're still accepting donations because, this shit gets kind of expensive. So you can look at the flyer that I posted on my Instagram page. That's Melanated Convo 100. You'll get all the information about the PayPal account, the Cashapp. Any way you want to contribute to what we're doing, donations will always be accepted. I'll be happy to accept them. We do it out of our own pocket and out of love for our people, but help is always appreciated. You know what I mean? So
absolutely.
Sonia, let's get into it, Sonia. So
let's get into it. I mean, what I love about everything that you've said so far is connecting the dots. Like, we are human beings, and there are times that we all find ourselves in need. Like, I have been, as we talked prior to the show, I've been going all this week. You'll notice that I'm in the car, I'm on remote location, but we live in an age where we can still hold true to our obligations, right? Mm-hmm. But at the same time, when we look to the left and we look to the right and we see someone who doesn't have as much as we do, how do we lean in those questions? That's always the way that I position any question when we are talking about how are we showing up in community. So if you look to your left and you look to your right and you see someone who doesn't have as much privilege as you, how can you then use your privilege to impact their lives? Ask yourself that on a regular basis, because when you think of it from that perspective, could you potentially have looked at that little girl, right, and not called the police on her? Could SHANQUELLA have had a stranger who noticed that she was inebriated beyond, bodily control that could have potentially saved her life? There are lots of things that we as I think human citizens of this world, of this globe, where we can help each other and we take it for granted.
And reaching your hand out to someone to help them is the best feeling in the world. Absolutely. We get stuck in our day-to-day jobs, careers, whatever we're doing, and we say, hey, no, my family. Right. I gotta have my family. You get stuck on helping the people in your home, which is necessary.
Yeah.
But there's a lot of people globally that need help. So we all need to do what we can, whatever that may be. So I'm excited. On Thanksgiving, 12 to 3, come out, get a hot meal. Now, Sonia, in Texas, a middle school teacher at Bowles Middle School, white middle school teacher, tells all of his kids basically that he is a part of a superior race. Now, I'm happy he was honest, but when you heard this story, seen the video of him being so nonchalant about him being in a superior race, what were some of the things that was going through your mind?
So part of me, I'm gonna be totally 100% honest, and I'm going to also maybe say something that's controversial to some of us who recognize that racism is very inherently systemic, institutional, and structural in our country, right? So if you looked at the rapport that he had with his students, I recognize that one of his students said, I liked you, right?
He did.
So he has a rapport where he's been able to gain trust, and his kids looked up to him to a certain degree.
Mm-hmm.
I think where the confusion came in his statement was, and this is the way I took it, and I'm open to all conversations and comments around where people feel like there was some some inherent, like, blatantly racist stuff.
Mm-hmm.
I think the message he was trying to say is that, unfortunately, I am part of the superior race. I heard it as if he was saying, we live in a country where race dictates power and the structure of this country.
Mm-hmm.
And so, with that being the reality, I then heard him say, look, all of us can be racist, including me.
Mm-hmm.
And so that made me step back for a moment, because, I do this for a living. I do this work around anti-racism. I do this work around making sure that equity is a thing in places. And I would have, having the skills that I would have asked him more questions around why he came to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm.
Now, to be totally also honest, ethnocentrism and all of its tentacles are associated with white supremacy. So
Yes.
I would have pushed him a little bit more. I would have got him to say, are you okay with the position that you have? And can you use the position that you have to benefit others? I would have pushed him to dig deeper to find out really and truly if at the core of what he's saying is that he's a racist.
Mm-hmm.
But if I were listening just to the bare bones of what he said, it's true. White folks are in a position of superiority, of power, and those who recognize that power, like I speak about it in my book, Monsters and Aliens, those are the monsters, right? The
Mm-hmm.
monsters are the ones who recognize I have power and I'm going to use my power over you. I didn't feel, and I could be wrong, I don't know this man from dirt, from Joe Blow, but I didn't feel like he was being malicious in his, I am racist towards you.
Mm-hmm.
I don't care about you. Because the way his interaction with them seemed very open. And like I said, there seemed to be a simple, like, level of adoration that these boys in particular had for this man, be him
Mm-hmm.
white, indigenous, Asian, or other. They just seemed like he was a cool teacher. The one little boy who was like, I liked you before you said that, right? So to me,
He did
that
say that.
spoke more volume. That spoke way more volume than what he was actually saying. I think that he
Mm-hmm.
was a very confused white man who took a term and tried to explain it to some middle school kids who really and truly couldn't grasp anything other than him saying, "Oh, I'm a racist too." And
Mm-hmm.
that was what I think hurt him. And yes, he's been fired, and he should have been fired because it was very wrong what he said. I don't want to discount that whatsoever, but I think that there's some further conversations that we can have, especially with those boys, that this being a learning experience.
Yes. And I think looking at, yes, he was calm, and you're right. He's been around these students before.
Yeah.
But I seen a lot of covert racism in how he was actually speaking, because the ethnocentric thing, Sonia, I've never heard of that term
Yeah.
before he said it. But if we're living in a white supremacist society and I'm a white man and I think I'm superior, a lot of this is coming from the system that we live in. Like, the
Yes.
system has been doubling down. The system has been telling you that you're superior. So I think he kind of slipped and just kept on going. You know
Yes.
what I mean? He kind of slipped and just said, "Fuck it, I'm gonna say how I feel." Because I was reading, it's interesting because I was reading tweets and people commenting about what he said, and there was black people on there saying, "Hey, all of us feel that way. We just not saying it." Now,
Yeah.
look, I think when I look at black folks in America, I don't think superiority, but I do know genetically there's some things about us that's different than other people, and that can
Yeah.
be looked at as better or worse, however you want to look at it. And these are facts. But
Yeah.
I don't look at myself and say, "Hey, I'm better than you," because when you
Yeah.
look at the definition for ethnocentric, it's I'm my culture, and everything about my culture I think is better than yours. And if a white man says this, that's the definition of white supremacy. You know what I
It
mean?
is.
So
It is.
the kids gave a little bit of pushback, but how important do you think it is that our children be equipped with information about their history and things that they've been through? So maybe dealing with something like this isn't as shocking to you. Maybe you can
Yeah.
give them a little information. You know what I mean?
Absolutely. And so that's why I urge parents, communities, teachers, administrators, anyone who deals with young people, right? Doctors, so psychologists, therapists, social workers. If you're in any capacity that you're dealing with young people, I gave a talk earlier today and on Tuesday, and I always use this one chart that says that at 3 months old of age, babies are recognizing the differences in features on the faces of the people that they see. At 18 months, babies are recognizing the mannerisms of the people that they deal with. At 30 months, they are recognizing the differences in the way that people are treated. 30 months, you do the math, right? And so that's a little bit over, not quite 3 years old, but a little bit, over 2 years old. And what I know for sure is that our babies are watching and they are internalizing our every move. So if you are doing something that's racist, they're going to pick up on those mannerisms. And is there a high probability that they will begin to mimic those behaviors, right? So it's like if at home, if Billy Bob sends little Johnny Boy to school and he says, you can't play with Jaquan, right?
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah.
He's going to go to school and he might say something dumb to Jaquan and get his ass whooped. Or he might go to school and tell other little Karens and Billy Bobs and Joe Blow, tell them, oh, my dad said that I can't play with Jaquan. And I'm using names that we recognize community-wise, culturally-wise, that could potentially be a Black person versus a white person. And that's the stereotype. That's the behaviors that we have to be leery of. So then we become adults and everybody don't go to college and everyone doesn't get an ethnic studies class, right? And then we go into the workforce, right? And as we go into the workforce, we don't walk in on equal footing. And so there's this dangerous scenario that shows up. I might be aware of what a microaggression is, what implicit bias is. I might be aware of what racism is and ethnocentrism is. But Billy Bob, who heard his daddy John say, we don't mess with Jaquans of the world, he's going to say, yeah, we got power over you, but not know why. And so that's the divide. That's where we're split on things. And I totally believe that if we get to a place where we have shared language, shared values, and we teach kids from a very young age that these are the things that we are going to value in our culture and our community, then we can ward off some of these things in the future. Because I do every day imagine a future where young people don't have to heal from and deal with racialized trauma once they become adults.
Yes, and it's really difficult, I think. This dynamic of public school teachers being 80 to 90 some odd percent white, mostly women.
Yes.
A big problem of this process to me is relationships require, like, to build a good relationship requires a level of relatability. So you're bringing in teachers who don't live nowhere around these kids. There's such a gap in socioeconomic beliefs with the teacher and the damn student. So a lot of these teachers come from the suburbs or somewhere not associated with our neighborhood, and they come because that's always going to put like a wall in between us. There's always going to be a disconnect. And then these kids that was in that classroom, that's traumatic. How do they come back tomorrow and believe in the white teacher next door that they got for third period? Maybe she feels the same way now. See, because he told how he felt, but a lot of people feel that way.
Right.
He just let the cat out of the bag. So how can I trust that he's going to give his all to teach my child when he thinks he's better than him? You know what I mean?
And that's the dangerous part of this whole dynamics, is that some people know some things and some people don't. I say you and I agree that two things can be right at the same time, right? But let's take it a step further. What we don't know, we don't know. But when we do learn something, It is our obligation. It is our duty to do better. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, I swear by that. I cannot, you can't unlearn something. I used to tell my boys, my older, so I have 6 boys, my older 3 boys. I can remember when I was pregnant with my 5th child. And my 2 oldest boys were like, we're going to have a competition, mama. You know how boys can be super competitive with
Mm-hmm.
one another. And they were like, we're going to have a competition. We wanted to see who's going to change the most diapers. And I looked at my husband and I was like, you do know that once they learn this skill, that mama's gonna be like, here, come change your brother. Right? So I say that in just as an example to when you learn a skill, the reality of it is you can't unlearn it. It's like getting on a bike. You, even if you ain't rode a bike for 20 years, you still know how to ride a bike.
Yep.
So the reality of it is we're sometimes in these positions where some people know some things and other people don't know things. And that's the dangerous part of the society we live in. You have all these people around this country who have been fighting over the past year, quote unquote, CRT, critical race theory.
Mm-hmm.
It's not even a thing that's ever been taught in public school from K to 12. However, it's something that we need to consider when we talk about race and power in this country.
Yeah.
Because race and power shapes every system that we all rely on for survival. It's
Mm-hmm.
in the education system, it's in the employment system, it's in the housing system, it's in the medical system, and it's in the voting system. Those are the 5 major systems that we all rely on for survival. So
Mm-hmm.
we got to do something to bring us all up to speed. And I say it starts with when we can first begin to speak and articulate those words. It's our duty to make sure that our young people have the words to articulate, this is what I'm feeling in this moment, and this is what I witnessed, and I want you to believe what I'm saying at this time.
So, Sonia, before we get off this topic, something I want to touch on with you. You being a teacher for 20 some odd years,
Yeah.
is there, do public school systems have a mechanism that guards the children from potentially racist teachers? Can you even vet them
Ooh,
out somehow?
that is such a hard question. Off the top of my dome, I want to say no,
Hmm.
right? Because we don't know what someone's beliefs are until their behaviors align with those beliefs,
True.
right? I can say all day long, like, you didn't have that bad boyfriend or girlfriend or that bad friendship relationship where a person is all day long telling you, I love you, I love you, I love you, I care about you, I care about you, I care about you, I'm gonna be there for you, I'm gonna be there for you. But their actions don't align
Hmm.
with their words. And so it makes me like human nature is behavior driven. We all have mastered talking a good talk, showing up. We as Black folks, we've learned how to shape shift and code switch.
Mm-hmm.
So have they. They know how.
That's real
They
talk.
know when they in the room with a Black person. I know for sure, positively, hands down, when someone sees the strong, authentic, unapologetically Black woman that I am, that they people will say things like, oh, my best friend is Black. Oh, I love Black people. Oh, did you hear that new Kanye West song? Right? But then they do things that don't align with my survival and the survival of people who look like me.
There
And
we
so
go.
those are the kind of ways that we can begin to measure. Now, I work with a lot of school districts, a lot of organizations, and I tell them that they need to do a couple of things to kind of sift out and see if these are the right fits within your organization. And one clear thing that you can, like, I think that is very honest and open is asking questions, having dialogue within our peer groups and our training seminars with individuals to kind of get what their value system is. And if their
Mm,
value system doesn't align with the mission and the vision of your organization, it's potentially time to let them go.
that makes sense. Because that's what I was getting to, because I know in the work that you do, you've
Yeah.
created a platform based on how to connect with some of these things. So that's important, man.
Yeah.
And Black parents, this is an eye opener for all of us. You send your kids to school for 8 hours with pretty much strangers. And if we
Yeah.
got this kind of behavior, you need to step it up in your house as far
Yep.
as your information about history, how serious you are about the things we've been through. So if your kid goes through something like this, they won't be that traumatized. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
All right.
Absolutely. And we don't, let me just also add, we don't know, everyone's impact of trauma is different.
Hmm.
So you and I, we can be in the same room and experience the same exact incident and internalize it very differently. Think about families that have children raised with the same parents. My sister and I are so different. There used to be people in community right now who would be like, that is not your sister. Y'all don't act alike. Y'all don't dress alike. Y'all don't look like, but it happens because we internalize things very differently. And
Hmm.
so while I want to add credence to the fact that we are all different and we're not a monolith, we are not the same. I also want to say that as we have these conversations, we need to check in with each other and be like, you understand where I'm coming from, right?
Hmm.
This means this. Like we check our math facts, 1 + 1 = 2. I need you to understand when we both see racism, that we see the same thing.
Makes sense. Makes sense. Definitely, definitely. So, I mean, hopefully, the teacher's been fired. Hopefully,
Yeah.
the parents of those black kids learned a lesson. I
Yeah.
gotta step it up in certain areas. They ain't gonna
Yeah.
teach critical race theory, but damn it, I'm gonna teach that shit at home. You know what I mean? So now,
Absolutely.
in New Jersey, Sonia, a 9-year-old girl is catching lantern flies. She's
Yes.
trying to get them off the trees. To my
Yes.
understanding, they can be damaging to the
Yes.
trees. This is an environmental thing she's doing. This is helping the planet, damn it, right?
She's a scientist at the end of the day. She's
The-
saving the planet.
they wrote an article about her. Like people were coming out to say, hey, what you're doing is great. Well, a neighbor, a white man, a neighbor calls the police on her. And the biggest thing about this story, because yes, you shouldn't have called the police on a 9-year-old girl.
No.
But the biggest thing about this story, Sonia, is when he called the police, he said there is a black woman outside chasing flies, spraying stuff. Come get her.
Come get her.
Look.
And so there's a couple of problems that I have here. One, that the trauma that this baby experienced, like bless her heart, she is the reason that I do this work on an everyday basis. I swear in the last two presentations, I always show this image. A photographer just so happened to catch a picture of 5 little black girls with their hair all messy and they just having joy and fun out in the street during the summertime, right?
Mm,
And so those are the voices that I do this work for. So I can imagine this little 9-year-old black girl in New Jersey being like, oh my God, he didn't see me because I'm only 9 and he qualified me and quantified me as an adult, a woman, right?
mhm, mhm,
The second part that is very problematic is the fact that black girls, black children in general, typically experience opportunities of being more responsible because they are what we call, I now call adultified. Really and
mm,
truly, what that means is people tell you you should know better. But why can't I be a child? Why should I know better? I'm
mm,
a child. Ask yourself that question. When you were a child, did you know better?
mm,
So they take away the childhood of black children, and that's unfair. But secondarily, it is that notion of I can't be a child. I can't enjoy my childhood. And you've stolen it from me because forever her sister gave the perfect statement at that city council meeting. And that it was beautifully written. She was articulate. So it lends credibility to the fact of who their parents are and what kind of ways that they've given themselves, their children, opportunities to explore. She said, I Googled it. It was a TikTok video. And I know that these flies don't do anything but harm the trees in our environment. So
mm,
killing some of them doesn't kill them all. I'm doing something to help my community.
mm,
And that's another piece of being black in America. It is the theft of black genius. It is the squashing of and the dousing of and just let me pull the carpet from underneath your feet so you can fall flat on your face of what Black genius and Black ingenuity has always been for the history of this entire country. I mean, like slaves on the plantation, they were ingenious in figuring out things to make their jobs easier. The cotton gin is an example. The ironing board is an example. I can go on and on and on. It is the ingenuity of how can I make my life easier. And for her, 9 years old, being exploratory like that, I want to say to anybody at the listening to the sound of my voice, if you're in a position to give out a scholarship to somebody who deserves it, she's going to be a doctor or a scientist somewhere along the line in her life. We need to invest in her now. Like, put the money where your mouth is right now. You care about Black education and Black children, give her a scholarship now.
Yeah. And then wait, so you just said something that, damn, it got me thinking, adultification, because my first thing is thinking about how white society, people outside of our community, you're a grown man, 12 and up, 8, 9 and up, you a grown man. Your kids need to be aware of how people view them. Yeah, you just playing, you a kid, but America don't give you the same leeway they give, let's say, a Kyle Rittenhouse. They're not going to blame what you did on the fact that you're immature and you're a child. You're going to be a grown ass thug, even if you're 12. But as Black folks, we do the same thing, because when you was talking, I was thinking man of the house. I don't like that, Sonia. When a single mom tells a little boy, Jerome, you're the man of the house, I say, whoa. Man, there's a way to frame that, but that's a slippery slope, because he don't think he's a man.
Absolutely, it is. And you and I have seen those dynamics probably all of our lives. I will tell you, I mean, this is the way that the world works and the universe just manifests things. I was telling the group of people that I was speaking to at Sac State earlier today, I was like, bless my mother's heart. She was a single mother for a lot of years, and she needed help. And she leaned on, I being her oldest child, she leaned on me for the responsibility of washing dishes, the responsibility of being the oldest child and being an extra set of eyes and ears over my sister. For me being, that person that if something was wrong with our family dynamic, that I was that extra, right? But it's still something that we've been conditioned. Right? Go back to the slave plantation. This is not by circumstance, y'all. This is intentional indoctrination that Black children don't have a childhood. And we can stop that by allowing Black children to experience joy, by allowing Black children to be exploratory, by not using negative language and stereotypes and labelings on Black children. Like, I use this as an example all the time. My now 12-year-old, when he was in the 3rd grade, I believe, I got a phone call from one of his teachers that said, oh, he's being extra aggressive on the playground. And my question, I have one simple question. Was he being aggressive by himself playing with the air, or was he playing with somebody else who was happily playing with him? Because if they were happily playing with them, then all of them were being aggressive, not just my child, not just my Black little boy, right? So we make these mistakes in how we label and articulate our thoughts about children. And we have to really stop ourselves in our track and think about, how is that word going to impact that person's soul and change the way they behave in the world? Because my son heard that labeling of his teacher, and it made him become a little bit more timid. It made him not show up in his most authentic self. And so we have to be very vigilant to give our babies freedom, flexibility, and permission at the end of the day to be their whole selves.
Permission. And damn, that's so deep, Sonia, because being a young father myself, when my kids were young, the only way I knew how to make them do what I want, for lack of a better term, was strict discipline. We go in a store, don't you touch nothing. I'm walking with 4 kids, Sonia, ain't nobody touching shit. I'm gonna get you. They know I'm gonna get them, right? But as I get older, what you just said, I'm thinking, damn, why white kids just running around with no shoes on in the store? Ain't nobody saying nothing.
Nobody said nothing.
What does that create in that white kid's mind?
Yes.
Opposed to the Black kid. I can't touch nothing. I can't run. I can't be a damn child in this store What is that going to tell me? And this is all, that's why history, y'all, is so important. All of its history, slavery times was the same way. Your little boy getting big, you know,
Ooh.
master finna come get him and be a slave. You say, master, you don't want him, he's stupid.
Right.
You don't want him, he dumb, he shiftless, he got 2 left feet, he ain't gonna be able to help you out there. You don't want that boy. So you are taking a negative approach about the future and what you're seeing from your child as a protection mechanism.
Yes.
So you don't want to run around the store because in reality, you don't want nobody white to come like, hey, who kid is this? What? We've been controlled. Now we don't need to change. Ain't that some shit?
That's some shit that we really have to think about, and how we internalize and how we show up in the world. Because then that turns us into the yes, sir, master. Yes, how high can I jump for you? Can I get on that Columbine field? And how fast can I run for you? Right? Because we've internalized that our behaviors and the way that we physically show up trump the way that we intellectually show up, the way that we articulate and show up, like the way that we have self-expression. Now, there's a double-sided sword to that, right? Because a part of me says, one of the things, my pet peeves, as when I was raising my children when they were younger, we would be out at a restaurant. Every time, Harrison, I promise you, every time an older white couple would come up to my husband and I and say, your children are so well behaved.
Mm-hmm. For black kids.
For black kids. They would never say that.
Yes.
But they would then add things like, I could never get my grandkids or my children to act it, so I don't bring them out in public. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, so my parents brought me everywhere that they went, and they gave us rules, and we either showed up or showed out, and there were consequences behind that. And so my question to white families, to white parents, I don't care if you're single, married, or other, why can't you have conversations about what appropriate behavior is in certain places? The second part of that is Dr. Joy DeGruy wrote a book called Post-Traumatic Slave Syndrome. Mm-hmm. And in that book, in the introduction, Harrison, you hit it on the nail on the nail on the head, is that we oftentimes, to take the attention off of our children, downplay their strengths. Downplay their talents. So in her book, she gives an example of 2 mothers, a white mother and a black mother, sitting in the football stand watching their kids play a football game. The white mother leans over to the black mother and says, oh my God, your child is amazing on the field. He's so fast. He caught that ball. He has the potential of going to the NFL. The black mother leans back over and says, but he is nasty and he don't clean his room. She could have easily in that moment said, yes, my child is the bomb.com, right? But instead, she downplayed who he was as an individual by focusing on the negative attributes and the struggle she has at home with him, which takes away, because now the white mom, when she goes home, she's going to be looking at her little boy, Johnny, and be like, well, damn, I'm going to need you to clean your room, because Jaquan, his mama stay on him about cleaning his room. And it creates this dynamic that when our kids are in circles with children who don't look like them, that they don't have to do certain things. And that's where that entitlement comes. My kids, I grew up and I'm an Oakland chick. I grew up in the hood, moved to Sacramento, grew up in Meadowview. My kids are entitled. They don't know the struggle of poverty. They don't know the struggle of not having. I didn't know that struggle either, only because my mother made sure that we had a roof over our head, food on our table, and clothes on our back. I didn't equate my life to poverty, right? Because my experiences growing up were so rich. Like, I knew she loved me. That trumped whether or not we can go to McDonald's after school. That trumped whether or not I can afford to wear some Guess jeans, right? She never bought me a pair of Guess jeans. I was pissed about it. But when I got my first job at Wendy's on Florin Road, I took my first paycheck. I went and bought me some Guess jeans, and I went and bought me some Reeboks. And I was so proud of the fact that I got that for myself, right? Yeah. And my mother, the way she positioned it was, that's a waste of money, baby. You're going to grow out of that. So I didn't understand poverty. until I became an adult. I was like, I told people today, I was like, we was po, P-O. We couldn't even afford the other O and the R. We weren't poor. We were po. But she made my life extremely rich because of the way that she raised me.
And that's, now that I think about it, that's one of our strengths as well, because of all the anguish historically that we've had to go through. We are raising kids at times with integrity, with a rule book, even if it's unwritten. You can't do this, you can't do that, you can't, because we gotta admit, kids from other races, they get 17 and they go fucking crazy, and they get to doing all kind of shit, and like that white parent told you,
forgiven for doing all kind of shit.
See, and then they end up, you know what they end up doing. But so there's a fine line you have to walk with. The whoopings you give, like, it shouldn't be too many of them, but there's a technique in creating like healthy fear in a human.
Yes.
But kid, like in a all humans should be like, you know what, that's hot, but I know it's hot because my mama never told me I'm not gonna touch it myself. So there's some beauty in that. Like everything though, we take the scraps, we take all your negative stereotypes, we take all that shit, we roll it up in a ball and give you LeBron.
Right.
Ain't that
Isn't that amazing?
That's us. You guys are welcome.
Yeah, right. Because then you flip that shit on us. You steal our culture. You steal our language. You steal what you get your injections. You pump yourselves up. The highest purchasers and listeners, connoisseurs of rap music are white boys between the ages of 15 and 25. Let's be really honest about the way that the culture is shaped in this country. Unfortunately, white folks don't have a culture to lean on because they steal it from everybody else. And I don't say that cavalierly, because I do believe that there are some things that people try to hold on from, like their home countries. Like if you can trace your family back to Italy, if you can trace your family back to Romania, you might have some culture to lean on. But if you've been in this country long enough and you all lumped into the category of white and what whiteness is, the only culture that you lean on is the culture of privilege.
Yes.
And you get real uncomfortable when your privileges are infringed upon, when they are taken away. Or when you think somebody else is going to get something over you. And that's not even the case. Like just recently that came out in the news over the last week since we've been together, California went from being the 5th largest economy in the world to now the 4th largest economy. The number and the data and statistics around the black dollar just also came out. So the black dollar, if we as a collective, all black folks in America lived in a country together, we spend $1.8 trillion. That dollar amount itself would put us at a country ranking at number 8 in the world. Think about that shit.
So you're saying we got money, Sonia? You saying we got money?
What I'm saying is money is power. And we need to start acting accordingly.
Using it as power instead of trinkets in I want to feel good.
Right.
I felt like shit my whole time in this country, but these Jordans here, you ain't got these.
We are power brokers, and we need to stop selling ourselves short. We are definitely power brokers. $1.8 trillion the black community spends across this country. We rank number 8 as an economy in the world.
That's a lot of money.
Stop playing with us. We the flex. You see my muscles right here. We the flex. And they know it. That's the scary part. They know it, but we don't always know it.
We don't know it. And when we don't know it, they try to trick us like, hey, Kyrie, here's a list of 6 things. Like, wait, I got to do all this. And my people could have been the real Hebrews. Nobody came out and said, no, he was lying. Did somebody say there was no Hebrews to Negroes? Did they say that was a lie?
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So this is a sick game they playing on us, Sonia, but we're going to wake them up. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Now, last thing I want to talk about, and this is serious, and this is involving us. This is like a community issue. The sister SHANQUELLA, I want to make sure I'm saying her name right. SHANQUELLA Robinson, 25 years old, from North Carolina. Sonia, she goes to Cabo with, I'm not going to call them friends. She goes to Cabo with other individuals and the sister ends up dead. So we see a video of a fight where we see a lot of head trauma, very hard to watch. We see people filming it's a lot to unpack when we look at this. The bottom line is the sister is dead. Her family wants answers. And we got Black folks sitting right there videotaping it and possibly being involved. So when you look at this tragedy of what happened to this young sister, what are some of the things that go through your mind?
My heart absolutely breaks for her family, for, oh my goodness, what she could have been in the world. Like, we will never know what her full potential would have been in the world. And that's a tragedy. So my heart goes out to her family, her community, her real friends. Like, what I first thought about was, we unfortunately have, as a collective, been conditioned not to value our own lives. And so we don't see the value in others who look like us. Like, we aspire to whiteness so much so that we imitate violence. Like, by nature, human nature, if Black folks were really violent, we would have got some get back after we were freed from slavery. We would have got some get back during the civil rights movement. We would have got some get back when Trayvon Martin was murdered.
We've had several.
Can I go on? Like, for real, we would get back in all of these prisons around this country when prison guards show up and it's only one of them to 50 of us. If we were a violent people by nature, unfortunately, we have been conditioned, and hear me when I say this, conditioned to devalue the life of people who look like us. And so jealousy and envy begins to set in. Not being able to set boundaries and have conversations of what it means to be loyal set in. Like, you and I are of a certain age, and street code, period, would not have let that happen to that young lady. Like, it would have got to a certain point and somebody would have been breaking it up and be like, she unconscious, y'all, stop.
Get her, or I'm fighting you. Yeah.
Right. And we wouldn't be putting this out for public to see this, right? Because back in the day, we wasn't letting this happen. Not on my block.
This new generation, man. And I tell my son all the time, Sonia, I'm happy that I'm 42 years old. I have 5 friends that I've been having for 20 plus years. I don't play the friend game.
Yeah.
Like, so look, Black folks, let me get at y'all real quick. This is kind of a sidebar, but it's still on the same shit. We do the cousin thing too much. That's my sister. That's my play input name, right? Other cultures will do that. Play cousin, play brother, look, friendship, relationships, brother, all this shit is serious. It takes time. To create the necessary comfortability with somebody to call them a friend or they got my back. This day and age, you can meet somebody 2 weeks and we best buddies. In actuality, you don't fucking know them.
Right.
It takes time to get to know people. So also, I think being in a group where you may not know people as much, the worst thing you can do if you're in a group, some people you know good, some you don't, is go 3,000 miles away.
Yes.
Worst thing you can do.
Yes.
Because now you're on an island almost. So if there's no real friends here, then it's all enemies damn near.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Because the dude is filming, and I'm sure, just to give him a little bit of slack, they're thinking this is just a fight.
Right.
I'm sure they're thinking, hey, they just fighting. But if you gonna do something, get up. She's beating her in her head, and you're filming it. This is a new generation, Sonia, because I'm thinking,
absolutely,
what are you going to do with this damn footage except for incriminate yourself? Because you're going to jail now.
You're not even smart enough not to share it. Like, where does the idea come into your mind? Delete. Like,
they
abort. Like, this also, unfortunately, while this happened, we also, I just have to mention that in the state of, I think it was Virginia, where a young Black man, University of Virginia, he shot 3 of his football teammates.
Yeah.
And so this speaks to the same nature of who do we value and why don't we value ourselves enough to see that our future is important.
Mm-hmm.
And we hear white folks talking all the time about, oh my God, gang violence and violence in Chicago, because that's the only city that they can pull out of the thin
Yeah.
air and talk about black on black crime.
Yeah.
The
Yeah.
reality is violence in America is a part of the fabric of who America is. And so whether or not you've come here as an immigrant, you were born here or forced to work, be here. Violence is a part of the culture of America. So
Yes.
don't tell me nothing about black on black crime, because if you can't say white on white crime, if you can't say Hispanic on Hispanic crime,
Yep.
Asian on Asian crime, because the statistics across the board say that if you are white, if you are Hispanic, if you are Asian, the likelihood if violence comes to your front door is likely that it happened by someone who looks like you.
And
So
who?
getting that human nature part of
Mhm.
it out of the equation, we then have to begin to question the constructs of there's this internal fight that we have, and then there's this external view that the world has of us.
Mhm.
Because you can go anywhere around this globe, and I promise you, the media has told them something about American black folks,
Yep.
and they gonna say, "Oh, you one of them American
Mm-hmm. Ti,
blank."
Terrell Owens. they're gonna mention the athletes or the actors or the people that's propelled, and we
Right,
need to be aware of this. You see what I'm
right,
saying? Because that's just how we're treated in America, and people need to realize Americans use guns. Remove black. America, how we got a lot of this shit popping was by force, man.
yes,
We didn't go with niceties and let's combo. No, turn your back, I'ma shoot you.
yeah,
There ain't no black
yeah,
shit. We was on
yeah,
spears and chucking shit and using things around us to get you. Y'all got that gunpowder and went crazy,
right,
even to
right.
this day. So when
Even to this day.
violence in America is American as apple pie, as they say.
Absolutely. And that's my point, is that oftentimes and I don't, because we are such a smart group of individuals, the system is designed and benefits off of us taking us out.
Mm-hmm.
It benefits, it profits, it's looking forward to not having to pay into our brilliance,
Oh
not
yeah.
having to pay into our college education, not having to pay into being a black business owner and that person qualifying for COVID dollars compared to the white business that's down the street. There's a
Mm.
cost to making it past a certain age in this country if you are a black person.
There's a
And
cost.
that's the
Damn.
fear. They don't want us to reach age 25,
Mm-hmm.
because oftentimes when we get to for our male counterparts it's 25, for girls who are black it's like 2021. If a black girl makes it past age 20, if a black boy makes it past age 25, it's almost like, damn, I didn't get them.
I didn't get them because, real quick, when I look at a lot of the gangster rappers, a lot of the young dudes who were in hip hop who were shooting and gang banging and doing, they're now 45, 50, smiling, enjoying their life. They were
Yes,
allowed to live. Now you can't see a picture of them without them smiling. But I'm like, damn, when he was 21, he was wrecking havoc out here, but he
he
got a
was
shot.
about that life.
He was about that life, but he got a shot. He didn't get taken off the streets. He didn't get killed. So he was able to evolve
Yeah,
like all men do. You know what I mean? And
yeah.
that's important. Our babies don't get a chance to do that. But you just said something that's important to me. Damn, Sonia. So you telling me when I look at what happened to the brother Takeoff, and I look at what happened to Shanquella Robinson,
Yes,
we looking at something similar?
yes, absolutely, absolutely. There, so I was, these are not things that we pulling out, the thin air and saying, ooh. Like, these are real facts, and studies and research has been done. The school to prison pipeline is now the cradle to prison pipeline. There's a stamp on our babies from birth. We are going to track you. And that tracking is, we're going to do everything to label you so that you don't succeed.
Mm-hmm.
And if you do, we just going to make life harder for you and remind you at every chance that we get And I'm gonna just bring Dr. Henry Gates was well into his 70s when he got locked out of his Cambridge, Massachusetts house, and he tried to open up Jimmy, one of his front windows, and the police was called on him and handcuffs were put on him at his own house. He couldn't even prove, because they didn't want to hear. All they saw was black skin.
He was
Dr.
so appalled.
Henry.
He was so appalled. He was, do you know who the fuck I am? That you putting handcuffs on me? Okay, this is serious. Because people don't realize that. Put a hoodie on LeBron and let him go to suburbs and knock on somebody's door. There's a big Negro outside. Throw the jersey
and I'm
on
scared.
him. Hey, LeBron. See how they flip the switch? Throw the jersey on him. Hey, LeBron.
Yeah.
Take the jersey off. Scary Negro. Right?
Yeah.
All in the same token. So this is important.
Absolutely.
I'm happy. Back with my sister Sonia. This is important, man. All this shit be happening to our people, and we gotta talk about it. We gotta talk about it.
Week after week, there is tragedy behind what the experience is to be Black in America. But I lean on this. Next week, we are going into what I call thanks-taking, not Thanksgiving. And I lean on the fact that we as Black folks, we work the jobs that even when a holiday rolls around, some of us still got to work. So we might be able to run into Big Mama's house, make a plate, kiss everybody on the cheek, and we got to get to work because at the end of the day, our livelihood is at stake. Mm-hmm. And so I just want to urge all of those who are listening that as this week comes up in front of you, that take advantage of the moments when you can have human connection and human kindness with one another, because we can really, with conversations like this and valuing life in a different kind of way, we can change the landscape of how we see each other. Mm-hmm. Like when I see, I listen, there's a lady that I put on my my Instagram page or my TikTok page. I don't know which one, social media, it all jumbles together at some point during the week. But she was trying to say that as white women, we're afraid of Black women because you are so brilliant. And a part of me wanted to say, I get it, but that sounds like an excuse. I want, and I hope that anyone who runs across me on any given day of the week, if I'm happy, positive Sonia, or if I am angry Black woman Sonia, that you at least give me the benefit of the doubt that my humanity is valued. Mm-hmm. And that trumps anything. Mm-hmm. Like we can get over if I cussed you out, right? We can get over that. I can apologize. I might not have been in the right mental health space. I might have been anything, right? Yeah. But at the end of the day, I think that humanity has to trump what we're doing because it's so destructive.
So destructive. And real quick, if there's any woman on the planet that should be a little upset, it's the mother of the earth.
Yeah.
You guys are the mother. You got reason to be a little, to be a little pissed off at times. Everything coming at you.
Absolutely.
This has been another episode of the Melanated Convo podcast. My sister, Sonia Williams-Lewis. Sonia, tell them what you do just really quickly. Give them your website. Tell them what you do just really quickly.
Yeah, I appreciate it. So if your organization, if the place that you work for, or if you're a part of an organization and you're asking yourself the question of what does representation look like? Like, do we have enough Black, Brown, Indigenous women working within our organization? And if that question is answered no, then it might be an opportunity to look at ways to change that. If you ask yourself the question, who's moving up the ladder of leadership and hierarchy within your organization, and you begin to see less and less sprinkles of, that melanin or that diversity, you need to be questioning why that is. If your medical benefits, and this is one that we've begin to have conversations about, and I'm very serious about, if you recognize that when Black women go to the doctor, that they go there and they have higher health disparities, but your benefits package is the same across the board for all of your employees, and you don't give Black women an opportunity to maybe have a doula, someone to come in and advocate for them. These are all equity questions that I have as conversations with leaders within organizations, and we create strategic plans to help them level the equity playing field. So then when people come to work, that they feel like the culture is positive and they feel like they belong. And at the end of the day, I don't know a boss, a business owner who doesn't want to make more money, because the way that you can make more money is to have people who are you employ that are your team, your family, who feel like they belong, because people who feel like they belong will go above and beyond for you. So that's what I do, equity work. You can find our work at ascribesuccess.com. That's ASCRIB as in boy, success.com.
All right. That's my sister, Sonia. I'm your brother, Harrison, man. Find me on Instagram at melanatedconvo100. The YouTube page is The Melanated Convo. A lot of videos, a lot of content. We going to keep it pushing. Y'all going to figure it out one day. Some of y'all on board, but if you're on the fence, you don't know. Maybe you think he racist. Maybe you want to be prideful, but you don't know yet. Come to your boy. We'll get you right. Because we need as many people on board. This is a unification. She just told you we got $1 trillion. What we doing?
What we doing?
What you doing with yours?
Right.
You buying some, you shopping with a Black-owned business before you go anywhere else?
Anywhere else.
So let's talk about it. This is about mentality and intentionality. Oh, I just thought of that. That was fire right there.
That was good.
This is your brother Harrison, Sonia Williams Lewis, Melanated Convo every Thursday. Me and my sister. Thank you for tuning in. Let's keep these conversations going.
Absolutely.